Hi, do you have some time? I need to talk to someone. It's about my neighbor. My neighbor's sort of annoying. My neighbor never stops listening to loud music. And my neighbor listens to loud music the whole day. It seems to me that my neighbor's radio is right in my house. And it's annoying because my neighbor's husband, he even sings out loud. And my neighbor's children, they sing along. And it's like the whole day. You can't believe it. I have the feeling my neighbor doesn't go to work. I guess my neighbor must be retired. That's the only reason. Because my neighbor just doesn't stop listening to music. And it's like morning, afternoon, and evening. And even during the night. Is my neighbor a singer? I wonder. I don't think so. I think my neighbor is just annoying, I would say. One day I will report my neighbor to the police. I can't stand it anymore. What about you? Do you have any problems with your neighbor? I guess I'll call my neighbor and talk to my neighbor because I can't stand my neighbor anymore. Of course, I would never talk to you like that, repeating the same phrase, my neighbor, over and over. I only did that to call your attention to the fact that pronouns exist to make our speech, our communication, or even our writing more clear, assertive, interesting. And that's why we should take some time to understand how pronouns work.
Are you talking to me?
First though, every time we are learning something or acquiring a new ability, it is important for us to understand their use, why they are interesting for us to internalize. Pronouns, as I said before, will be used in communication to replace nouns. Because pronouns exist, we are better able to express ourselves and in a much less repetitive way. Ever since we start learning English, one of the first things we will be taught are subject pronouns. You can probably remember your teacher or tutor saying, I am Ana Carolina. You are my student. So, one of the very first lessons we go through is subject pronouns because they are essential to basic structures in English. Apart from subject pronouns, which are quite familiar to us, we also have many others that we should get to know, practice, and internalize. But after this video, I am sure you will be much better able to master and make use of pronouns in a more intelligent and assertive way. While talking about my neighbor and how annoying her behavior is, I can say that my neighbor's behavior is annoying, or I can also replace my neighbor's with her. And although her is not technically a possessive pronoun because it also takes a noun, her behavior, her house, her husband, it is considered a possessive adjective. Why so? Because her will attribute a quality to the noun, behavior, husband. So it's as if we were giving more details about that noun. So my husband is annoying, her behavior is annoying. Notice that after her, I will have a noun, behavior. Now, There are also possessive pronouns, but this is a topic for later. The first thing I need you to understand is that when you talk about someone and you want to share more information about something they possess, you can make use of a possessive adjective. And this is called a possessive adjective exactly because it will give the quality, something adjectives do, of possession.
My house, my rules.
And for each subject pronoun, we are having a correspondent possessive adjective. Now, we can also think of the possibility, I need to talk to her. I need to talk to my neighbor. Here, when I talk to my neighbor, I practice the action talking and she will be receiving it. In that case, her is an object pronoun. I know you might be confused at this point because her as a possessive adjective and her as an object pronoun are quite the same word. However, I would remind you that English is not about words, but it's a bigger picture than we can see in Portuguese. English is about blocks of words because words don't actually make much sense when they are read or when they are said alone. If I just tell you her, that doesn't make much sense, but now her house or talk to her make much more sense. Do you agree with me?
And I agree with her.
So yes, even though it may sound confusing, we need to understand that the possessive adjective her, as in her house, her behavior, and the object pronoun talk to her are completely different words. So I would always tell you to see English in a bigger picture. Just take a look at blocks of words and never words isolatedly.
See, it's all part of the big picture.
And by this point of our video, you have already understood that when I say my neighbor's husband, I can also say her husband instead, which will sound a lot less repetitive and easier to understand if we put it in a context. Her husband sometimes sings along. Now, we may also use possessive pronouns instead. Let me give you one example. My husband is a lot more silent than hers. In that case, I'm comparing my husband to my neighbor's husband. And instead of saying my husband is a lot more silent than my neighbor's husband, or even my husband is a lot more silent than her husband, I just choose to reduce the last part of the sentence, her husband, and replace it with hers. So yes, we also have possessive pronouns, and they will be used to replace possessive adjectives and nouns with a possessive pronoun. Possessive pronouns will be used every time we feel the necessity to avoid repetitions of nouns. So notice that in that case, I have already mentioned the word husband, and there is no need for saying that all over again. So instead of saying her husband, I just choose to say hers.
It's my house, not theirs.
Well, because now that you're getting divorced, she's mine, not yours.
It's your problem, not mine.
We just have to open before Holly Hansen's reopening, so everyone knows those recipes are mine and not hers.
I know that you might be a bit confused with so much information. So let's just take a time to practice subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive adjectives, and possessive pronouns. Everything I need is that you get to the end of this video understanding how to use them. And of course, mastering them will be a matter of time.
No, take your time.
Yeah, take your time.
A very common question students ask me is when we don't know whether the person we are mentioning is a male or a female figure. For instance, tell me about your best friend. How often do you talk to your best friend? When I ask you about your best friend, I have no clue, I have no idea whether it's a he or a she. In that case, how should I replace your best friend? And the second question, do I have to sound so annoying and repeating it over and over just because I don't know whether they are a he or a she? Of course not. So in that case, I would just say, what about your best friend? How often do you talk to them? Every time you don't know whether a person or an individual is a male or a female one, you will choose the subject they. And of course, the derivations of pronouns related to the subject pronoun they. So, how often do you talk to them? How often do you go to their house? Okay? Even though you were talking about only one person, so a singular pronoun, you will use the neutral pronoun they, their, them, and theirs.
But Cameron, this new person, they are going to want to do things their way.
And I know that deep inside you're thinking, but teacher, it is a singular noun. It's just one person. Yeah, I know. But in that case, you will choose they, them, their, and theirs as a neutral gender pronoun or even possessive adjective.
When you say they, what do you mean?
So now, I strongly recommend you to practice and put all this information into action. How can you do that? Well, think of a person that you admire or someone from your family or even your circle of friends that you appreciate. Talk about this person. Let me know about them. Or you can also think of a place you have visited before, a place you would like to visit. Practicing and mastering pronouns and even possessive adjectives is a matter of time and dedication. As everything in our lives, I would say. Shall we?